Hello, I'm Ginkgo Sequoia and I'm the author of the book The Tree Mystic. Today's extract is called The Things That Make You Rich. It's about nature, about your senses, happiness, and how you will make yourself useful in the afterlife. It's with Solly the Tree Mystic and the children that are staying in the ashram. Solly had organised some children's activities. He bellowed the instructions for the first children's activity through his megaphone. I want each of you to go away into the forest for 1 hour and collect as many experiences as you can. Each one of you can also take one of these small boxes. Be gentle to nature. Do not harm anything. The children returned at lunchtime. Feeling very pleased with their achievements, they proudly emptied their little boxes onto a blanket. Buttons, insects, leaves, etc. tumbled out of the boxes. The children waited for some praise from Solly. They were to be disappointed. "Is that it?" he thundered. "How many fragrances have you captured? Show me the mud under your fingernails. Let me see the marks on your back from rubbing yourself on the tree. Why are your ears not red from putting them to the ground and listening to the scurrying beetles? Why are your lips not chapped from blowing them on the grass? Have you only collected those things that you could pick up and store as a possession in your little box? Sniffing is not something that you only do when you have a runny nose. It is an art and a vocation. Have you forgotten our lessons about being present and enjoying happiness in the garden?" There was only silence. "You have missed the fun. These things in the boxes will weigh you down, fade and decompose. When you are in the countryside, or in the forest, or in the garden, you must store the vibrant senses. When you are in the city, bury your head in bookshops, in florists, and visit fish markets. These memories and senses will stay with you for all time. These are the things that will make you rich. Now go away and don't come back until you are muddy and green from head to foot. Don't come back until you understand that joy is under every rock and inside and outside of every tree." When they did return, Solly was his normal self. Stromboli knelt down beside him. "Are we forgiven, Mr. Solly?" "Of course. Just tell me, how did you manage to collect so many insects in such a short space of time?" "Oh, we found a pile of dead rotting leaves. We kicked them in the air and lots of bugs and insects ran for cover. Then we grabbed them." Solly's face turned scarlet and all those in attendance saw the full vista of his teeth. "Come here." They all sprang forward. "Take me to where you found the leaves and bugs," he demanded. Stromboli led the way. The others marched behind him, knowing that they had done something wrong without knowing exactly what it was. The next day, the roosters were still dreaming, the stars were still lighting up the sky. Solly marched towards the sleeping accommodation of the children and blew on his conch. There was yawning and bewilderment. "What is happening?" came the cry from the dormitory. "I want you to understand the grave crime that you committed when you kicked the bugs in the air. And you disrespected the fallen leaves. Now follow me." He marched them to the location of the rotten leaves where they had disturbed the insects. Here he instructed them to sit down in a line so that they faced a wall of trees. "Do not speak, only watch." An hour went past, and although they enjoyed the silence of the early morning forest, they were unsure of the reason for this exercise. Another hour went past. Eventually one of the children, Fi-Fi, plucked up the courage to speak. "Can I ask Mr. Solly what we are trying to see or hear?" "Shh! You can only speak when you have seen a leaf fall from a tree." However, the air was still, there was no wind and no falling leaves. Komodo put his hands together. Then he said a little prayer for something that he had always taken for granted: the wind. However, nothing was forthcoming. 2 hours later, there was some noise up above. Several birds landed in the tree, and a single leaf started to fall from the sky. 28 lashes fluttered. They watched it every step of the way as it threatened to stay airborne. To the relief of them all, it eventually fell softly to the ground. Solly coughed and motioned for the children to stand up. "Tell me again how you found the insects." Fi-Fi opened her palms in an attempt to profess her innocence. "We just kicked some rotten old leaves. They were of no use, they were all dead. And I don't think we harmed any insects." "It is not how you say it, Fifi. You must know that every leaf and every insect is part of the grand plan. Like you, each one has a unique purpose and is to be cared and protected. They are givers and preservers of life." "Oh. Now, who can tell me if the leaves are of any use when they fall from the tree and land on the ground?" Bongo put his hand up. "They are. Even as a rotten leaf, each one continues to do their good work. They provide homes and shelter for the beetles, ants and mites that we found. They produce food. They shelter the insects from the sun and protect them from predators. This way, every insect can play its part in the grand plan that you talked of." "Thank you, Bongo. Now we will sit under the tree in silence for 1 more hour. I want you to work out how you will emulate the work of the fallen leaves in your own life, now and after you have stopped breathing. When you understand the important role that you can play when you have stopped breathing, you will no longer fear death. For death is just like a leaf that falls from the tree to the ground. It gives rise to another opportunity and another life. When you understand this, you will realize that you are immortal and that there are no sacrifices. There are only falling leaves." That's all on that particular section. There's lots of good stuff, I hope, with Solly and the children as he educates them. You can read the book or buy the book at thetreemystic.com or at Amazon. And I'll be back with more. Thank you for listening and watching. Goodbye.